What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the season finale review of She-Hulk, episode 9. Episode 9? Pretty sure it's episode 9. Yep. Season 1, episode 9, the season finale called Whose Show Is This? I gotta admit, this was for season finales, this, even for a Hawk 30-minute Hawk show, this was kind of like it wasn't that great. But let me give you a synopsis, then I'm gonna break it down. It says Jen finds herself in trouble with the law and struggles to pick up the pieces of her life. I do like that they start the episode by paying tribute to the Lou Ferrigno's Lou Ferrigno's Hulk show. At the end, they did the whole intro for that show. They call her the Savage She-Hulk. That was cool. I did like that. That was a cool little callback, and I like how they had an actual person instead of a CGI She-Hulk. They had an actual person, just big old woman as She-Hulk and stuff. But then it transitions to her basically being in the same cell as Blonsky. We see Jen on the other side of the cell now. Now she's the one in the holding cell. And everybody, her friends and colleagues, they come to visit her, and she thinks they get ready to talk to her about finding the people who did this to her, who embarrassed her in the previous episode, the people responsible for that site, and which is Hawk King. Yeah, what was Hawk King? Yeah. But they at first they tell her like, oh no, we're not here to talk about that, per se. We're here to talk about what happened with you. In your case, they goaded you. They understand. They're not overlooking it. They telling her, we know what happened to you. Everybody's seen what happened, but they goaded you, and they explained to Jen what the public, perceives her as. The public perceives her as a wild, savage Hulk. They're uncontrollable Hulk. They seen her. That's what the public sees. They don't. Nobody sees. Nobody cares about the fact that you was embarrassed, and they just seen the fact that you lost your cool, was uncontrollable, and what else they would say? But that they was gonna find who was responsible, but first they had to deal with her, and she basically gets the same treatment as Blonsky. They drop all charges due to the circumstances surrounding what happened, but only if she agrees to wear an inhibitor, which inhibits her from becoming She-Hulk. And thus, at that point, Jan's life begins to spiral deep out of control. Like, she loses a job, her apartment, she loses everything. She has to move back in with her parents. The paparazzi won't stop looking for her and trying to talk to her. And thus, to get away from all this, from this spiraling, she goes to Blonsky's compound. And she wanted to talk to Blonsky because she figured, if anybody knows what she's going through, it would be Blonsky. At this point, Jen's friend and the dude Prometheus, they go to investigate and try to help Jen. Jen's mother showed Jen's friend embarrassing college video of her twerking with some thongs out was sticking out, and she uses that to lure out Hawk King, and Hawk King invites her to a basically private party, and they go to this, but the Hawkins assumes the person who uploaded that video, assumes that her friend who uploaded that video was a guy. So that's how the dude Prometheus get involved in this. And I call him Prometheus because I could never remember his name from the show. But they go investigate. They go to the party, they investigate, and they see all these people at this party. And it's basically like a hate group party. All these people basically talk about how they don't like they don't like Jennifer Walter / She-Hulk because they feel they know her story. They know that she basically got her powers by accident, and she didn't earn them or had to work for it. Like they respect Hulk and Thor. They even mention Jane Foster's Mighty Thor, how they ain't like her. It was like, oh my god. But yeah, things are revealed here where we find out the true identity of Hawk King, which was the creepy guy that one of the creepy guys that she went on a date with earlier in the season. When she had that montage of going on those bad dates, Hawk King ended up being the creepy guy who called her a specimen. And then it's just like, and then it's revealed that this party is taking place at the same compound that Blonsky owns, and that it's revealed that Blonsky's been transforming for Abomination for like it was like comical because he was only doing it for like for like conference and like Comic-Con like conferences and spiritual healing and motivational motivational speaking conference and stuff like that. And at first it looked like he knew what was going on, like he had a hand in it, but in reality he really didn't. That was one of the many disappointing facts that he really didn't know. Like they really made him a good guy. Like we are here at the end of the series, and he really has become a good guy. I'm like, what? What are you doing with my Abomination? What else I could say? But yeah. So then from here, Jen who went down to the area to find Blonsky, ended up finding his meeting, her friends, and they informed her what was going on, why they was there, and they revealed who Hawk King was, and he reveals what the point of them stealing. What was the point of them stealing her blood? He synthesized it so he could use it to become a Hawk himself. And he actually takes it and becomes one. Bruce Banner's Hawk comes back because a fight breaks out because they try to attack Jen. The Abomination actually saves Jen, but Hawk busts in and thinks that Abomination is attacking Jen instead of saving her. They begin to fight a little bit, but with Abomination trying to tell him it's not what he think it is. Jen thinks this is going out of control with all. She's starting to break the fourth wall here because she's like, this is all these plot lines that they introduce is murky and weird because they introduce too many plot lines and she feel like it's taken away from the plot line of what's going on with her. So in the middle of her trying to talk about this, the screen goes to the Disney Plus menu and just go boom, and then it's on the Disney Plus menu, but you still hear Jen in the background say, hey, this is not going to stop me. I still do have questions, and you see on the Disney Plus, you see the the picture they got on there for She-Hulk. When you click on it, and she just busts through there, and she said that she broke her inhibitor, busts through there as She-Hulk, and then she actually climbing on the menu of the Disney Plus and busts to breaks the picture of the Simbo featurette on there. Goes into our world and goes and meets with the writers, and eventually she finds Kevin. This leads to one of the okay, I gotta give them props for that part that I like, was that she had a fight scene in the same hallway as Black Widow from Iron Man 2. I'm like, was that really the same hallway from Iron Man 2 that they used? And that was a nice little Easter egg callback. I didn't even notice it at first. I had to re-watch that scene, I think, like a second time to figure out that was the same hallway, and the same that, like, when she showed up into the same when she showed up in that hallway, it was the same way how Black Widow did in that scene. They played Big Lotto's Big Energy. I'm like, really? I'm like, oh man, they giving shout outs to Megan Thee Stallion and now Big Lotto. I was like, okay. Yeah, but then the majority, the rest of the episode for the most part takes place at this point. And like once he gets to this point, this is the rest of the episode, and well, not all the way, but it's the rest. She basically goes and talks to Kevin. She talks to the writer. They tell her, they do the whole, nobody gets to see Kevin, and she just basically fights her way to Kevin. And then she finds out instead of Kevin, Feige is Kevin, like a big brain AI computer, but he got like some lens, when his lens are at, he got the little Kevin Feige. They made the computer look like a Kevin Feige hat with Kevin written on top. And I'm like, oh man, that was kind of cool too. They got Kevin like a robot, and in the room here, they just got all the Marvel movies playing and stuff. So basically, this was just like a big old fourth wall destroy moment where she just basically talks about the MCU at a whole. Like she got questions. She even asked when we're gonna get the X-Men. He was like, I can't tell you that. She talks about how. What else she say? She said something. She was talking about like why all these characters got daddy issues and all these plot lines, and talk about how her show is supposed to be like a law, a law comedy like show, criminal comedy show. So she presented her case that they do their own thing and don't try to do what all other MCU movies do. And they stick to one plot line, which is her. So they erase all the different plot lines that they have for that final battle, where Hulk basically never showed up at the thing. The dude Hulk King doesn't use her blood to become call him a Hulk himself, which means that now that plot line is gonna be moved to season 2 because. They don't even answer what was that whole plot line for, other than that he had her blood stolen, and they still keep that, but they don't answer why he did it or what's it going to be used for now that he's not using it on himself. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then after that, she pretty much deals with them in a non-beat 'em up fashion because she already had her fight with the real security guards in the real world. Man, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to miss nothing. Blonsky ended up going back to jail for turning to the Abomination, but it's because he took control. He took responsibility for turning to Abomination and stuff. Jen's life gets back in order. She gets everything back, and she basically decides that she's going to be a person that fights injustice both in the courtroom and as a superhero. And then there's a post-credit scene with Blonsky and Wong at the end. Overall, this was it was basically it was weird for this to be a season finale. Cause this is the first time in a long time I can say that, or ever that I can say that season finale wasn't good. It wasn't good. I mean, it was cool that she destroyed the fourth wall and entered our world and stuff, but it really didn't do nothing for the fact that it went too long. That scene went too long, and she was in our world in too long. And the way how I'm glad that they made fun of themselves and whatnot, but in the end, it was just like it went too long, and I rather her dealt with what was happening in her world and story more, and just a little bit in our world, but. And then it just didn't everything. Like I found it ironic that they made fun of the CGI, because he told her that when she met Kevin, Kevin said, "Can you I will answer all your questions, but you got to turn back to Jim because." And she asked why, and he was like, "Because it's expensive to keep you in the Seahawk and." Our animation and CGI team has went and worked on a different project, and they did the Wakanda beat, the Wakanda Black Panther beat. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Nah, that they know that this episode is coming out mere weeks before Black Panther. But yeah, this episode wasn't good. I mean, I found it ironic when they made fun of the CGI because it was like they said it was expensive. He made it seem like they put effort into it, but most of the episodes in She-Hulk had bad CGI. It was only a few episodes where the CGI was good, including this episode and the previous episode. I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10 big ups because it wasn't good. I'm thoroughly disappointed when it comes to a season finale that it really didn't do. I mean, it did it for better or worse. What it did good, the best thing I could say it did was set up Planet Hawk. It really did set up Planet Hawk because we really did we got to see some things and some things. That part I left out because if you haven't seen the episode, I want you to see it just for the fact of what Hawk had to say about his trip to Shakar. And they did bring Matt Murdock back as Daredevil. But yeah, other than Matt Murdock being back and the Hawk coming back and all that type of stuff, it was pretty much it was a bad for season finale goes. But you let me know in the comments down below what you thought. And if you enjoyed this review, you hit this button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. And if you enjoyed this video so much you want to support the channel, all you gotta do, guys, is hit those buttons. Do that for me because it helps the YouTube algorithm of getting me your YouTube tribal chief out there to the masses so we can bring in more tribe members. And as always, hit any one of these videos for more on amazing content, but don't go anywhere because I got more coming your way. Peace.